the magic word right now in B2B marketing is demand generation. And basically it means that we focus more on creating demand for people who are not ready to buy yet. Mm-hmm. That's about 97% of the people are not ready to buy yet.
Warning: Damian Andrews' growing revenue and profit, if implemented, will put more money in your pocket. Please use with caution.
Welcome to Damian Andrews' Growing Revenue and Profit with international speaker and revenue and growth specialist, Damian Andrews. This is your source for practical, usable, and simple action steps that you can do every day to put more money in your pocket. And now, the host of Damian Andrews' Growing Revenue and Profit, Damian Andrews.
And the crowd cheers wildly to the trumpeting blasts of elephants sliding through eyes of needles. This is Damian Andrews' Growing Revenue and Profit, the program that deals with all things that puts more cash in your pocket. This is the show that handles your revenue riddles, profit puzzles, operational oddities, and culture conundrums. I am the one, the only Damian Andrews, and on this show is the amazing and wonderful Frank Hasmann. Now, Frank is an internet entrepreneur focused on B2B and SaaS marketing. As a former SaaS founder, he knows the challenges and pitfalls of growing companies. With over 20 years of experience in B2B marketing and sales, his goal is to assist B2B founders and marketeers to show their expertise. This way, you'll become the authority in your industry so you never have to worry about new business again. Frank, sounds like you've got some amazing skills. Wonderful to have you on the show.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for having me, Damian. Really great to see you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure, and it's lovely how we can talk across the pond as we do. You're in the States, and I'm here, down under. G'day, mate. How you going? Shrimp on the barbie.
I'm not going to have to leave that to you, I'm afraid.
Hey, I cook up a mean Barbie. But before we get onto the Barbie side of things, you've started companies, you help them market. How hard is marketing to do? It seems to me a key problem that people struggle with is finding clients. How difficult is it really?
Yeah, so the thing is that you can approach it from a sales perspective or a marketing perspective. And usually with small companies, everything starts with a founder, right? So the founder draws all the business because he has a network or relations. But at some point, you need to scale. And then sometimes people will hire a marketing manager or people will hire salespeople, or they do both, right? And have high expectations. And I'm working with B2B, so business-to-business companies. And the thing there is that you probably need both in the end. And you need a system for both. For a sales and marketing, well, actually in your whole company needs systems, of course. But so once you got some sort of system going, then it should be more or less smooth sailing. But still, it is really hard to do this in B2B for the marketing end, and also, of course, for the sales end, because there are a couple of reasons. A lot of things have been changing lately, and that's one of the things. And the other thing is that I'll get to what has been changing a lot lately. But the other thing is that it takes about 6 to 9 months to close a deal on average in B2B. So before you get any results, for example, if you want to buy an airplane or you want to buy, I don't know, some huge HVAC system for an enormous building, it takes a lot of time before it gets okay. It takes a lot of people as well. So that's one of the reasons why B2B marketing is quite hard to measure, for example. That's one of the problems that we've been facing. We used to be able to track a lot through these things called cookies. These are little files in your browser, but they've been phased out basically and are almost blocked by Apple, for example. So that's one of the problems. And another problem is that people have been looking in. It used to be you go to Google and you get an answer, right? But Google doesn't really give the answer all the time correctly because it's been more or less spammed by all these people who do search engine optimization really well. Maybe you recognize this.
Yeah.
So people also go to, we call it dark social. Dark social is places where we go to ask for recommendations. So, for example, I could ask you on LinkedIn if you'd have a recommendation for a good CRM system, and you would give me probably 1 or 2 recommendations because you work with them, right? I would check them out, or I would go to a community, a closed community on Facebook or Slack or any other place. And this is what we call dark social, and it's really getting bigger and bigger, and it's hard to measure. So getting to measure these things is quite hard. But still, yes, it's all possible, of course, to get a marketing machine going.
How much
It
of
is
it
challenging.
is different from B2B to B2C? In my
Yeah.
understanding, B2C is more emotion driven, but like you said, B2B, you've got this longer lead time. Can you expand on that and what are the differences and how people misconstrue the two and mess up B2B from following a B2C model?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, we're doing business with humans. So we can call it business to consumer, you can do it business to business, but we need to have some sort of report or feeling, or maybe we even call it an emotion in B2B, that we trust someone with our money to deliver a service or a product, right? So, I mean, that's the basic premise. So don't look at it as just entities that are communicating with each other. They're still humans, right? So
Yeah.
there's also emotion involved when you buy, I don't know, an airplane.
Yes.
But the thing that people who move from business to consumer to business, the mistake that they make is that they're thinking really transactional, which means that if I want to buy a pair of boots right now, I go to a Google ad, I'll click on the ad, I'll buy it from the website, or I'll click another ad and I'll buy it from the second website, right? So that's basically a really short time from a click to sale. And if you have this mentality, and I see that a lot at C-level, people who think about marketing in a real transactional way, they're going to have a hard time to grasp the fact that it takes months of time to see if one channel or maybe 2 channels really work to get the ball rolling. And it's a lot of testing, especially at the start of most companies. But not only in the start, with things changing right now a lot in the marketing space, you need to think of other ways to market your business. And one of the things that we've been doing right now is demand generation. Maybe we'll touch a little bit on it later, but that's one of the things that we've been doing right now, instead of the whole focusing on leads, because that has been the case for a lot of time. I don't know if you know that when you go to LinkedIn or any other website, you can download an ebook or a white paper, right? In exchange for your email address, and you'll get a lot of emails bombarded, right?
Yeah.
And maybe even get someone on the phone who is going to sell you something or pitch you on a call. This is more or less the old way that we used to operate in business to business, because it's just a numbers game. When you have 100 of these leads, there are probably 1 or 2 sales calls, or 3 maybe, that will work. But that's not the case anymore, because we all know that we're just baited by this ebook that's only 3 pages. It's barely a blog, and you'll get bombarded by emails and phone calls. So that's the old way, and I think that's the main difference of going from B2C to B2B. That this whole lead and transactional mentality, that's not the case anymore. And it, of course, it's important to get leads, definitely, but not this whole mentality. And like I mentioned before, if C-level thinks of it like that, then it's really hard to get the marketing machine going.
So, and I completely understand that, because I've dealt with that many times as well. I've seen all that where they say, "Oh, here's a free book, but just supply your email." So it's not free. So it's I'm going to say it's a lie to start with, which doesn't create trust. And it does. And I know from my experience, I still get emails coming through my spam filter, which is pretty good, that come through, and I make a conscious thing of I'm not even going to read it or open it. I'm just going to delete it. How does someone adjust now, and what can they do to break through and connect with people?
Yeah, so the thing is the magic word right now in B2B marketing is demand generation. And basically it means that we focus more on creating demand for people who are not ready to buy yet, That's about 97% of the people are not ready to buy yet any service or product. And a little part of the spend or the focus will be on lead generation. And the easy part will be to make sure that your website is just smooth, that everything is working, that you can schedule a call if you don't use any contact forms, that it's easy to reach you. And mind you, I mean, there's so many of these examples that if you go to a website that you need something in business to business, you'll need a form first. You have to look for a form sometimes even. Then you fill out the form. You have to wait 2 days before some rep will reply to you, and you will have some qualification questions, and then you will probably have the opportunity to schedule a call. And on that call, if it's scheduled, you will speak to, I don't know, just someone who is going to qualify you even more. You will still not know the price, or you still will not have any demo yet. So it takes a lot of time. And I'm not kidding. I mean, this is pretty usual in business to business still. Not with the SaaS companies, the software companies that I work with, because I mean, they are on the forefront and they know that everything has to run smooth because software is not tangible, right? And it's sometimes really hard to convince someone that you need that software. So everything is optimized. But yeah, that's the whole lead capturing part, basically. Make sure that's working correctly and that you're delivering on your promise and that it's really smooth and easy to get to a demo or to get to a sales rep or to know the prices. Make sure you communicate the prices, for example. That's sometimes also lost. So that's the part about the lead capturing or the demand capturing. And then most of the focus will be on demand generation. And demand generation basically is tell the people that you're there, that you can solve their problems and that you've done it before. And one of the great ways to do that is, yes, a podcast like this, but also creating expert content about the problems that your clients have been facing and communicate that in blogs, articles on LinkedIn, if your target audience is there, and probably in business to business, they are there. And make sure you use that channel. And yes, you can use ads as well to light the fire on that great content that you've been creating.
Does that, because that's my thinking as well. I know from my perspective and the people that I deal with, we don't want to be told, this whole, as you say, give us a little bit, and you're still finally trying to work up to what is this thing going to cost? And I know from my side of things on my website, it's like, this is my price. And I use that as a qualification because I'm not cheap. So I consider myself a Rolls Royce. And so I want to qualify people out that if they're going to haggle on price, then they're probably not the right client for me. Is that, are we shifting to that kind of approach now?
Yeah, it's more self-service. And it's been fueled by a generation who has grown up with internet everywhere, and they are slowly moving into position that they are decision makers or influencing the decision makers. That's one part. And the other part is that we've all been growing up with the internet, and we know the more or less scammy is not the right word, but still, like,
a good word.
That the old tactics that they don't work that well anymore. So that's why you see that people know way more about the product that the company is selling when they're on a call sometimes than a junior sales rep who's trying to qualify you. So yeah, it's more self-service. So make sure that you help these people as well to make the right decisions and make it as smooth as possible. And that's definitely one of the changes. And I mean, we've been here before. I mean, I think 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, it was all about content marketing. So you need to create content. And the idea was always create content about the problems that your clients have, your possible clients have, your prospects. That has been, I don't know, it has been just gone way off the rails because everyone was creating, I don't know, 5 articles a month and then 10 articles a month, and they were all like, I don't know, the 10 problems you face with, and then XYZ, but they're not that helpful. They are so generic. No real, of course, there are people doing it right, but most of them misuse that tactic because they wanted to have the Google traffic that was free to get to your website. And if you would have 100 visitors, there will always be 1 or 2 who would fill in a form, right? But now ChatGPT has come to the whole play, and people are churning out content left and right. It's 100 articles a month, 50 articles a month. It's easy to do, and people are doing it. And yeah, if you look at the Google search result, it's just, I don't know, sometimes it just makes me really sad to see what people have come up with. So it's back to the basis. It's back to, okay, what are we trying to help our clients with? And how can we tell it in a way that we can connect with the person on the other side that's reading it or looking at it or viewing it or hearing it through a podcast? And because we have been consuming the internet content in so many different ways as well, which is the second thing that has been going on, because I mean, video is so important right now. Yeah, so these are the things that have been going on.
That was my question. You mentioned video there because there's been a lot of content out, and I know I've seen so many web pages, landing pages, I think they're called, where you go there and it goes for, well, basically I think it's as long as it is from me to you. You got to read that and scroll down. It's just got all this stuff, and I wonder if anyone has ever read that. I certainly haven't. Sometimes I just scroll and have a look just out of curiosity. Yeah. How much more important is video now, and very specific video?
Yeah, I mean, it should definitely be in your marketing mix. And one of the, so yeah, it has been more important than ever. I think one of the reasons, but that's more a personal belief, is that if you see the whole TikTok thing that has been blowing up on teenagers, but also people in their 20s and even way above that. So we love video content, we love short content, we love snackable content, basically. And it's also something that I see on LinkedIn as well. I see a lot of engagement on videos, and we are not tired of webinars if they're done well as well. So video is really important in your whole marketing strategy. And one of the easiest ways to do that is record something like this, just a conversation with someone in your team. As a marketeer, you can do that with someone from C-level or an expert who knows about the problems that your possible customers face. And you record this, and this can be just repurposed in content for a month or so for your LinkedIn channels or any other channels that you're using for your social channels. You can add some of these videos to the articles that you already created. You can create one article out of it. You can use it for your newsletter. I mean, there's so many things that you can do with it, and it comes off as, I mean, we mentioned about something about business to business, right? But it's human to human. So we see a human, we got a connection with it, and we trust that company more because it's someone who's saying something that makes sense. It dials into your own problems that you're facing. So yeah, video is the best way to go when you want to do that.
I love the word you used there, snackable. How do you make your videos tasty? So people want to snack on them.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, well, basically they are sound bites, right? You have to cut the right sound bites, and one of the things that we always do is that we also added them in a way that looks great. And one of the things you can do is you can add, of course, captions and stuff like that. Make sure that someone is in frame. Sometimes what's snackable is basically that you would like to know what's going on. So no intros, nothing. Just get to the meat of it, on socials basically. And to be honest, that also works on YouTube and any other channel that you're using for video. And yeah, that's also because of this whole TikTokification. Shorts, people want to just don't want to skip, they want to get to it as soon as possible.
So how do you make that content? Because what you were talking about there, framing, all that kind of stuff, that's the technical side of things, and making it look nice and putting some subtitles, that kind of thing. What actually makes it? What makes a snackable video tasty? What makes it attractive to someone to want to listen to it even past the first 5 seconds?
Yeah, that's a great one. So yeah, that's also going to be technical because you need a great hook. And a great hook is something that just entices you to listen to the rest of it. And even a hook, you can even ask ChatGPT what is a great hook for, and then it will give you some hooks. I'm not saying that you should do it, but that will help you get into the video. But to be honest, I mean, the whole snackable part isn't really the most important part. I mean, at the end of the day, you need to communicate something that resonates with your audience in a trustworthy way. And I do have to say that not everyone is good at this, because not everyone knows how to communicate with a camera on their face. It's sometimes really hard. So for the people who find that hard, we just either use the audio, or we'll go to use some images or whatever to help them communicate the same content. Because I do know it's a challenge sometimes to record a video. When I tell that to people that I work with, sometimes they say, I don't know if founder XYZ would like to do that, right? Or if I talk to the founder directly, they go like, it's a good idea, but maybe this one would do it. That happens as well. So not everyone can be great on camera, but at the end of the day, we all have conversations. So do it in a relaxed way. If we do it in a relaxed way, that's what I always try to do. Have a relaxed conversation about the things you already know. There will always be things that would be snackable from that recording.
A relaxed conversation sounds like that would be very interesting to watch. What are some of the pitfalls that the common pitfalls that you've seen people make in respect of their marketing?
Yeah, so one of the things that, because B2B takes long, sometimes there are two things. Either too many channels too soon, or stop with one channel too soon. I think these are two of the main things. So you go Google Ads month 1, and then nothing works in month 2, or because there are no leads or no people signing up for your software or whatever, asking for an offer. And then someone from C-level will say, okay, this is not good. We're going to cut that because, I don't know, we spend XYZ amount of money. But like I mentioned before, in B2B, it takes a long time to build that trust. So maybe the whole direct response, the Google ad, wasn't the right channel to begin with at first. So that's one of the things. Then the other thing is, okay, well, we go for LinkedIn. We'll stop Google Ads and we'll go for LinkedIn. We'll spend there, but you have one campaign there, and it will magically result into offers or whatever. But that doesn't work that way, because you need to just build that trust. So make sure you have multiple campaigns. One of them is just building trust. Make sure that you send them cases in ads, right? Or just great blog articles that you've done, or maybe even webinars you can watch, any other video. Just make sure you're building trust. So that's the one main thing to focus on. And then, of course, you can also add something else into the mix. And that's, of course, get to an offer or a demo or a trial. But yeah, I think these are a couple of mistakes that I see many people make in B2B marketing right now. They are impatient. They make too many. They use too many channels at once, or stop too soon with one of these channels, and don't really get the audience in that channel. Basically, yeah, that's one of the things that I see a lot happen.
Has it come down to we've forgotten that? Because you've mentioned building a relationship several times here, and also to having that, going to use the word, having the resilience or persistence to continue on and create that relationship. Because if we're talking, take dating for example, if you were to meet someone and then go, okay, let's get married on the first date, they'd probably run away screaming because you're a crazy person. Is it the same sort of principle applies, and we've just forgotten that we need to build that relationship, we need to build that trust?
Yeah, I think that's a great analogy. We talked a little bit about demand generation, but the whole shift to demand generation is back to building that trust again. Just showing that we know what we're doing. We got the track record. We really want to help you with whatever we got for service or product. And just telling that a couple of times, we need, there's some statistics about we need 9 touches or whatever. I think it's way more even nowadays, because we also need more people
somewhere.
Yeah. So yeah, it's basically back to that. And I think that also it is because we have been promised that we can measure everything, and we'll just turn on a campaign and magically we have these offers coming in. And yes, it used to work like this, because like I mentioned before, when you go full lead generation, if you have these 100 leads of people who downloaded your crappy ebook, there will be 1 or 2 or 3 people that will make the sales call. And if you have a great sales, you will have one sell from that one. So yeah, that's what that worked in the past, but it doesn't work anymore. So back to the whole courtesy dating game. Yeah, for sure.
But is that I've always believed marketing's really the art of seduction, where you're highlighting how that person needs what you have to offer. You find that what the issue that they're having is, and then show how you can do it, and be a little bit elusive as well, so that they're chasing you a little bit. Does that apply from your experience?
Yeah, most definitely. Because, for example, you don't want to just show them everything, right? It's also a process of first you show a little bit about it, then just a little bit more, then a little more. But when you just sign the contract or buy the product, then you have the whole experience. So yeah, it's definitely about showing little pieces of the whole solution that you're going to deliver. Yeah, fully agree with that. Yeah.
And what are some of the other pitfalls that you've seen people make in marketing?
Right. We talked about. I think the two that I mentioned are the most important ones, basically. And I think there are so many small ones that can add up to a lot of them, right? Because then I would have to go into specific programs. One of them is account-based marketing. I do a lot of account-based marketing as well, and that is basically you select a small set of companies, 15, 20 maybe, and you will market only these 15 to 20 companies together with sales. And it's a combination, it's an effort that we do together. And one of the playbooks that I use for that is just I will interview the decision makers at these companies in a way that they want to share about their struggles, the things that have been going on. Usually it's about digitization, online, how to get online. And I just did one in the legal space, for example. So interviewed top people in the top legal companies. And the thing is that they want to work together. They want to do this because they want to know what other people have to say. And I always make sure that there's an article that will be published in the main industry paper or online magazine. So that's what I'm always doing in that playbook. And one of the things that people don't really do well is the selection of the companies. They have too many or only 5. So 15 to 20 is really ideal. And then it sometimes can be a wish list from sales. And if it's a wish list from sales, it will probably be companies that they've already had contact with and it didn't work. How can marketing then break it open? Sometimes it works, but sometimes there's a real great reason why it didn't work. So that's the challenge. Or it will be a wish list with, we need Coca-Cola, we need Deloitte, only big name companies. So that's not going to work as well. So one of the solutions to not making a wish list like this is to see if there are any engagement signals from other channels, for example, from LinkedIn, or have they visited their website? Is there any other connection that have been there in the past? And make sure that you build it from there. And that's a specific thing from an account-based marketing play. And there are so many different ways to do B2B marketing that there are so many pitfalls in all these things that I think we can talk about a long, long time.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And I love that pitfall that you talked about there is selecting too many clients to chase after, because if we come back to what you said earlier about we're building a relationship here, how many people can you build a relationship at one time? A relationship takes time to manage. And I remember this from when I was very young, well, a lot younger than I am now anyway. And I'd left the army and I was looking for another job, and a friend talked about, there was good money in the mine sites, and I went, oh, that's pretty cool. So I looked up the 5 main companies that were operating there, and I wrote them a letter of application. And that was back, I'm older than I look. I had to handwrite it and write it slowly because my handwriting isn't neat. And I sent that off. And then the next day I wrote another application and sent that off. I did that every day for 2 weeks. And then finally one called me up and said, you're really keen, come in for an interview. But is that principle still applicable? Today we select a couple of key ones and then just go, okay, this is how we're going to market to them.
Yeah, but to be honest, I think the 2 playbooks that I really love to do when I'm involved with a business company is that we go for the authority. We make sure that we create expert content, and that's a great way, and that we make sure that the expert content is being distributed on the channels that our prospects are.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's LinkedIn. And we use it for the website as well. So that's one of the main parts that we focus on, because if you show your expertise, people will know that you're trustworthy. And the other thing is we will select about 15 to 20 companies, and we try to create some sort of intimacy, some sort of relationship with them. And we do it by giving them something of value. And one of the great things of giving them value is sharing knowledge together and giving them some sort of stage to be on. And they're usually really happy to do that. So out of the 15 accounts that we select, definitely 6 or 7 will be happy, depending on the industry, of course, happy to talk to us, and it will develop a relationship. And after a couple of months, you will ask them for, I don't know, to do a guest article together, or a podcast like this, or a video, whatever that we can use in other ways. And at some point, they will want to be with on a sales call, because they think, well, this is a great company with great people in there, and they're doing great stuff. So yeah, that definitely works. So these things, are the most important to focus on. If you're focusing on a small market and you have a product that fits that small market, I mean, when you're just selling business to business, also about selling bolts, right, or small things that, I mean, then you probably don't want to focus on the 15. Still, that can work if you can select 15 companies, right? So, but that will not be the only 2 plays that I'm suggesting to do if you're a marketing manager for that kind of company.
Fair enough. And what about for companies starting? Because a lot of times there's talk out there that you've got to spend money to make money. And someone starting a business might not have a lot of money to do marketing. Do you actually have to spend money for marketing, or are there other ways of doing it to reach people and have a high level of impact?
Of course, it depends on your skill set, and it depends on your pockets, right, and how you're going to start. But let's assume that you don't have a lot of money, or whatever is the case. Well, I personally believe, and I've seen it over and gone. I think I started. This is my SaaS company was my 3rd company that I started, and in the 3 companies, I always started with 0 marketing budget. And what we always did is just talk about what we are solving, talk about the problem our clients have been saving, or possible prospects have been having. And if you do that, I mean, I got calls from the 8 o'clock news because I just I wrote a blog article, and after that, my phone was just blowing up because I was in the news, right? And it was just one blog article that some journalist Googled. And that was back in the days when that worked really well, and it can still work really well to put out all these blog articles once you do it from a human perspective with a heart and soul in it. So yeah, I think the only way to go is make sure you document everything that you're doing, and create that content, basically, and that works definitely. And you don't need any money. If you're not a writer, just do it like this, right? Just record everything you do with a camera, and everything you need is probably a laptop and a good microphone and some hosting. That's it.
What about old school methodologies?
Yeah, love the old school.
Because with a number of my clients, what I've done is I'd identify, as you mentioned, certain clients that I wanted. So there's only a few, so it wasn't going to be high cost. They already had a brochure that they'd had prepared, so well prepared brochure. And what I would do is I'd create a nice letter, but rather than being just a letter, it was formatted well, and it also, in the body, it had images as well. So you had the letter, it was addressed to a specific person, you had a couple of images, and we told a story, just a specific story of a project that they had done and the result and the benefit that client got. And I'd save it as a PDF and send that off with the brochure as a PDF as well. But then I also put that in the mail, old school mail, to the person and said, refer to the email sent. Here is, and printed it specifically on some higher quality paper. So it was about 120 GSM paper instead of your standard 80. A little bit glossy as well. So it looked fabulous. Sent that off. All the companies that I've done that with at least doubled their income within, say, 18 months. If I'm going to be conservative, I'd say 12, but I'm going to be 18 but they doubled their income. And that was only from a few clients as well. Does that still work, or am I just unique in that philosophy?
No, I'm really glad you brought that up, because I think the old school mixed with the online stuff, that's amazing and to go. And I think one of the things that I've been doing is a lot of roundtables and also sending out newsletters. So these are two different things. The newsletters, not real newsletters, sorry, I mean just direct mail. And what I always try to do is just for partner programs, for example, I will select, I don't know, 100 or 200 people that I will send this letter to, and it will be personalized, of course, but still quite generic. And I will add something inside the envelope, something funny, and it will only cost you $2 or $3. Something that I did was a play toy, and if you pour some water on it, it will grow. And the idea was you can grow together with us.
I love it.
And then we would call them a week or so after we send that out, and we definitely close some deals from that. So that really works, but it also works with a pen, believe it or not.
Yeah,
I worked with a company a month ago, and they really send out pens. But I have also seen them send out champagne when they moved from this company to another company, and they would congratulate them on the move, right? And it would draw them sales as well. So you can send them gifts or send them small things that will get noticed. That's basically the idea. And whenever I would send a letter, I will always do it in a vanilla envelope with no letter, has nothing fancy at all, because anyone will open that letter because they'll go like, "Well, what's this? This is crazy." So yeah, it will get noticed more. But maybe if you A/B test it with something glossy and fancy, maybe that will work. But I never did it that way. But yeah, that's the letter part. I love that, and the whole round table part is going offline as well. It's just get 5 or 6 people together, and some of them might be clients, some of them might be prospects, some of them might be consultants in the space. Just 6 people together, and do that once a month or once every 2 months, and you have great conversations. People love to talk about it. Do it over lunch, do it over, I don't know, breakfast or something like that, and it will definitely result into business within, I don't know, 6 or 12 months or so. And people will see you as a solution provider and not just someone who moves products. But then the question is, of course, how do you get these people to this roundtable? LinkedIn, email, and just the regular mail works as well. Yeah, love that still.
And how do people, because from my experience, people have trouble distinguishing between marketing and sales. How do you distinguish those two?
So that's an interesting one as well, because I think right now, because of all the changes going on in marketing, it used to be like this, that we would report to C-level as a marketing manager, would report to C-level, even if you were a marketing director, you would say, okay, we generated, I don't know, 1,000 leads this month, and it resulted into, I don't know, that many calls. Period. End of story. That's the whole idea. And I go, yes, generate more leads, great stuff. But nowadays, there's a whole shift from the reporting part to more revenue-based. How many opportunities did you create from marketing, and what was the revenue from that? And that working together is way more important nowadays. That's one. And the other thing is that marketing takes a longer part of the journey before it will get to sales. So the sales journey is shorter. They don't have more work getting them from an interesting lead to a sale, because they know so many things already about the company and about the product or service that we're trying to sell them. So that way we need to work way more together nowadays. So these are definitely changes right now that are going on. Yeah.
So is it, using that analogy of the dating again, the marketing is a lot more of that seduction, and you're getting to the point, I'm coming back to my single days here, where, you know, I never really, I kind of did ask people out, but they were pretty much ready to say yes by the time that we got to the point where I said, you want to go out? Because I'd created so much allure and things like that. Is it the same sort of thing now? Are you saying that, if I'm hearing correctly, it sounds like that marketing component is more about that seduction, and you're really not into a sales role anymore? They're pretty much ready to say yes, because they're coming back to what you said at the start. They've already researched you. They know what you're about, and they're pretty much ready to say yes. You've presented yourself well. Is that the model we're at now?
Yes, that's definitely true. But the only difference is it's way more about quality than quantity. So of course you can go into a club or a bar and you would talk to 50 women. Maybe one or two, or maybe one will say yes. And that's, I mean, the whole spray and pray game. That used to work, but it's way more about quality right now. So you have to build an audience of people who know you, who trust you, who want to buy from you, and who are already that far in their journey to buy. And you can only do that by seducing them if you would like to use that word, but in a really trustworthy way, and to focus on the quality that you're bringing, but that you're also expecting back, basically, from the prospect. Yeah.
Well, that was the main assumption too there, that you are offering something of quality, which is, what I used to think when I was dating. I was a quality person. But is it, with that, is it, again, you're coming back to, it's not, it's that spray trying to just try and land anybody. It's more about going, okay, this is what I really want. This is a kind of partnership that I want, and thinking of it rather than just, this, I'm going to do this one deal, but thinking about more the long-term relationship and going, is this a person I want to have a relationship with for a business? Is that where we're heading as well?
Yeah, I think so, because the example that you just gave about your own website, about the pricing, right? I mean, if you price it high, it's a qualification, so not everyone will be able to afford it. And if you hide the pricing on your website, you will get so many people who will go like, okay, so, and it takes so much time as well from the sales rep, especially in the software as a service. You need to do the demos. And you'll be happy that you got so many demos in a month. But if all those demos, I mean, 80% are just students or people who can't afford it because they haven't seen your pricing yet, it's definitely a waste of time. So your numbers are great, maybe from that perspective, but not from the closing part. So as a marketer, you can say, well, we generated so many demos, right? But if you would add the pricing to your website, you will probably have way less demos, but they will be from a high quality. Yeah.
How much of it comes down to this? The marketing component is also now around building that relationship and seeking referrals.
Yeah, referral marketing is of course very important as well, and an important aspect. I think one of the things that I like to do is set up partnership campaigns. So, for example, if you're selling some sort of software that helps marketeers, you can create partnerships with marketing agencies who can use that software to sell it to their clients, and they can be referrals. They're partners, of course, and referrals are the ones that are directly referring you to your website, and that can either be done through an affiliate model or any other way, right? That happens as well. It's not something that I do a lot. I focus more on the partnership building because it will in the end help both parties a lot. And the way that I do that still is what I mentioned before, old school, sending out letters, but also making sure that people on LinkedIn see you, or you send a direct message to someone. So you focus on the benefit of the both of them. And I think that's also something that has been changing, that we try to give way more value up front before we go to a sale. And that's something that has changed as well, because if you blast out, 1,000 emails a day with, I can help you with XYZ, book a demo now. Of course, 1 out of 1,000 definitely will be having a call with you. But that has been switched as well. Just give them really quality information and make sure that they know who you are and that you can solve their problems. Yeah.
And from that perspective of marketing, as a personal character trait, what are some key character traits that are required to be a really good marketer?
So there are two schools. You get the T-shaped marketer. T-shaped means generic on a lot of different things and specific on one channel. For example, great at LinkedIn ads, or great at partnerships or affiliate marketing or account-based marketing. That's one school. And the other school is, of course, you need a lot of people who are really great at specific things you need to do in B2B marketing. You'll generate a team around that. So I think these are two of the schools that are going on right now. I think I'm more or less of a T-shaped marketer if I would look back at the things that I've been doing. But I've been doing this for about 20 years, so I know a little bit about everything. more and more once, because I've been doing it for such a long time. And of course, things have been changing. So I need to adapt as well. I need to make sure what's going right as well for my clients. And that makes it so interesting, I think.
And how do you deal with setbacks? What are some of the key setbacks that people have, and how do you deal with that? How do you pivot and adjust to that?
Yeah, well, I think, setbacks are parts of life. And as an entrepreneur, I mean, you can only learn from setbacks. So that's my whole mindset. And it doesn't mean that I'm not human and I don't experience any whatever anger or frustration or whatever. But I mean, it's just an emotion, and let's get on with it and see what we can do to fix it. So yeah, that's my mindset. So I see it as a way to grow. And thankfully, I never created any big mess that wasn't easy to resolve or whatever. Like, oops, we spent $100,000 and we didn't generate any sales. I never experienced that, so that's good, I guess. So yeah, I mean, of course that happens. For example, we create a campaign and it doesn't do anything that we want. So okay, then we have to go back to the drawing table. And most of the times it is because it's in companies that are early stage, so they haven't really had any market fit yet. So it means that they got some clients, they got the ball rolling, but when they add some marketing channels, it's quite hard to see what works and what doesn't work. And then I've seen that happen quite a lot of times. So you spend money on creating whatever you want to create, and it doesn't work, or it doesn't generate the things that you would like it to work. How can you turn that around? Basically, that's an interesting challenge, because then product market fit is something else. I mean, then you have to talk to a lot of more people to see if the product is a fit for the market. And sometimes marketing is too soon to market a product that has not a product market fit. That happens sometimes. But at the end of the day, if you peel all these layers back from marketing, what I've always seen working, and what I see with my clients, what I see with the VCs that I talk to, and founders of startup companies, but also from scale-up companies, is that once there are people in your company who share what they know and what their prospects go through, you will really draw people to you. And it's staggering how it does really works. But if you go to any company, they don't really do that. They just generate some generic stuff, to be blunt, to be honest. And see if you can turn that around. That will be my number one advice, to just really try to resonate with your audience by showing them what you know and how you can solve their problems.
And that solving their problems takes us to the next step of actually listening to their problems. How does someone engage and find out what the potential client's problems are?
Yeah, I think we talked about pitfalls a couple of times, right? So I think that's probably the third biggest pitfall of any marketeer, is not talking to sales, not talking to clients, not being on support calls, not knowing what's going on in the mind of the client in the end. So yeah, the only way you do it is to talk to prospects and clients, get on these calls, go with them, get in the car if you're still driving around the country, or get on the Zoom calls and make sure you know what's going on. And from that, you just go further. Yeah.
So listening is still an important skill to have.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And tell us about Maxality, if I've pronounced that correctly. It's your baby, your business that you run. Tell us about what services you offer, how you help people, and we'll have the details in the show notes of where they can contact you. But feel free to share them as well.
Yeah, so Maxality is my content marketing agency, focused on expert content. I'm co-founder of that, and we work with a team of great people who've got a little bit of a journalistic background. So what we do is we interview founders or people who have got a lot of knowledge in your company, and what we do is we create content around that. It's articles, it's videos, it's socials. And if you do that correctly for a couple of months, you will see that you're going to draw in new clients, basically, by showing them what you know. And that's what we've been doing for a lot of tech companies, but only B2B focused. And yeah.
And what's the best way to reach out to you and contact you?
So yeah, you can reach me on frank@maxiality.com, and I got a Calendly link on there as well if you would like to just book a meeting, just chat a little bit about the challenge that you're facing. Love to talk about it. Yeah.
And you've got on your website, you've got a couple of programs there. You've got your strategy booster and your authority booster. What are the differences between those two?
Yeah, so basically, I'd like to start with what's going well and what's can be improved, right? So that's the strategy part about it. What I like to do is do a full on marketing audit of everything that's been going on at your company. And I can do that because I've seen so many companies in the past and worked with so many companies, seen so many things that could be improved, right? So that's the audit part, and the content part is really about making sure that you can become the authority in the market.
Awesome. And for the audience, we will have all those details in the show notes. The other question that I have, Frank, is if you were to leave the audience, because we've talked for a while now, we've covered a lot of topics. You've certainly shared a lot of useful and very prudent, I think, information. But if you were to leave the audience with a nutshell, a key wisdom, a takeaway, what would you want them to leave this interview with?
Yeah, I think one of the main things I would like people to do is to just make sure you're out there, talk to people, and if you talk to people, capture the knowledge that you already have and the things that you learn, and just share it with the audience that you're slowly trying to build at the places where your ideal client profile is at as well.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome wisdom. Frank, it's been such a pleasure having you on Growing Revenue and Profit, sharing your knowledge. Such useful information there. Check out Frank's website. It's in the details in the show notes. Thank you very much for being part of the show, Frank.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.